Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel Custom Carving and Epoxy UK. So today I thought I'd do a bit of a fun one and more of an experimental one. So I thought I'd try and mix some of the techniques together that we've already done and see if we get a different effect. So one of my favourite experiments so far was when we mixed in the silicone oil with the white sinker and got these crazy effects. So I just thought, how can we do a different experiment and see if it still works and see if that silicone effect still works as well, but make it different. So what I'm going to try, I've still got quite a lot of that white mixed with the silicone, and if you've not seen the video, go back and watch that. But basically this is your white sinker mixed with a few drops of silicone oil, which created those crazy effects where the colors almost seem to come up at the sides, but we still got that amazing Petri effect in the center. So what I'm going to try and do, in another video we made these chameleon alcohol inks, which have worked really well in a couple of other projects. And I just wanted to see what would happen if we used the chameleon alcohol inks initially, used the sinker white with the silicone oil in just for those, and then put another layer of colours on of alcohol inks and then the standard sinker white. Would we get a more enhanced Petri effect in the centre, and then hopefully those metallic almost chameleon inks coming around the sides and still keep that Petri effect in the centre, or not? So that's what this video is about, and it will be an interesting experiment. So we'll see what's going to happen. I'm also, for this experiment, not going to pick the colours. I'm just going to randomly pick them out of the box of 26 from Let's Resin and see what we get. I think that's always part of the fun, and hopefully I'm going to fill a few of these molds to fill a few of these different pendant sizes that I've got here, with the butterflies, the owl, the elephant, the dragonfly, and this double I suppose fidget spinner one you'd call it, where you can actually spin it round. Now I know that that one is these, and I'm going to do some guesswork on the others at the minute. So I'm feeling that the cabochon sizes that I'm going to need is probably going to be this small one here for the dragonfly, I would imagine. And I'm just making sure they're clean actually before I start pouring. They should be, because I cleaned them yesterday and then all I did was spray some mold release spray in. But I think if you don't fill it, that mold release spray creates a little white line actually, which I don't want. So just going to give them another quick wipe. And then all I've done is mixed up 2 ounces of the resin, put it in my bubble removal machine that I use to get rid of any bubbles, and then we're going to pour as many of these cabochons as we can and hopefully get some cool effects. So again, I highly recommend these bubble removal machines, because look at that, that is crystal clear resin. So I'm just going to fill some of my favourite shapes and see what we get. But do you think it's going to work? Put something in comments, let me know what you think, and we'll see together. If you've not already as well, guys, it's great that we've gone over 6,500 subscribers now, but it would still surprise you. Over 90% of the people that watch these videos don't subscribe, and they don't realise how much it actually helps the channel if they do subscribe. Even just liking a video helps YouTube realise that actually you're liking the content, pushes it out to more people and helps the channel grow. And the more we grow as a channel, the more of these experiments we can do, and the more fun, crazy things we can do as a community. So please, if you've got 2 seconds, do me a favour, it's completely free of charge. Just hit that subscribe button, like it, put something in comments. It makes a massive difference. And let me know if you think this is going to work. I currently don't have a clue, but that's what this is all about. It's about experimenting with different techniques to see if we come up with a new one. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one, with the fact that we're using almost 3 different techniques in one, just to see if we get some interesting results. And actually, just I don't know if you saw the last video or not, but actually I'm really liking this resin from Let's Resin. It's their standard 1-to-1, but it's a great consistency for me. It's not too thick, but it's not too thin, and it makes it quite easy for pouring. And so far the results I've had with it have been crystal clear and bubble free once they've actually cured. So again, if you've not watched that previous video where I did a bit of a review, go back and watch that now, and you'll see what I mean. But again, I don't think it's bad value for everything that you get in the kit either. Right, so they're my standard molds that I know that I like for pendants myself. Now, these smaller ones, I'm just trying to think. I think the butterfly one, looking at the size, is going to be these. So I'm going to fill these two. This is where it gets harder when the molds get smaller. And then I think the dragonfly is going to be one of these really small ones, and the elephant, the one just above it. So I think they're going to take the tiniest bit of resin. So I'm going to try and drip this in without getting it absolutely everywhere. And still trying to leave a bit of space for those alcohol inks as well. It is really finicky when you're doing it this small. Literally, I think these dragonfly ones is going to be 2 drops. 1. Probably it. 2. And then where shall we go next? Well, I've done these teardrops, so I'm going to do those. I've had a few people asking me about the mold as well, so again, I've put a link in the description to help people find it. I'm going to do these 2 as well above the hearts, because I know that they're the ideal size for the rings hardware that I've got. I've still got quite a bit left, and I only mixed 2 ounces here, so I'm quite surprised. But you'd be amazed at how many cabochons you can get out of just 2 ounces. Do these little hearts as well. And I think I've got some bezels that fit the smaller ovals. So I'm going to fill those as well, just in this top corner. And if you're like me, you'll forget which ones you filled and end up with a couple of clears when you demold. And then let's try and do these 2 bigger circles over here as well. And I think we might just get one of these squares. Let me know in comments, guys, as well, if there's any experiments that you want to see us do. You know, we like doing anything that's different and trying to get a brand new technique or result as such. Now I'm just going to use my silicone tool just to make sure that, especially with these hearts, we've got it all the way to the edges, and try and tease any big bubbles that I can see in there out, because there's nothing worse than a really unique piece with a bubble. And then I'm just going to lightly use this lighter. Again, if you've not seen the previous videos, I found this, rather than using the long nose lighters that kept running out every 2 seconds. And as long as you use it sparingly, it doesn't ruin your molds and still gets rid of those pesky bubbles. And remember, when you're working with alcohol inks, this is your only opportunity to do this, because once you put the inks on, you can't use a flame of any kind, otherwise you'll just burn the resin and burn your mold. So the idea is here, I'm going to use these different chameleon alcohol inks, and if you've not seen the video on how we made those, it's pretty much 99.9% alcohol with some chameleon powder. And I've got 3 different colours here, which I'm going to put down first. And not too many, maybe 1 or 2 drops, and that's it. 1. And you'll notice these spread very differently. And the pigment is what I'm looking for to sort of spread. No particular pattern. I just want to see what effects we're going to get. And then once these are all in, it'll be a case of using the white sinker with the silicone oil in it to see if it will spread those out and around the sides. And then if we can put the normal effect in with the normal Petri and the Sinker White. So don't know if this is going to work, but there we go. That's that one. And then we'll use this one as well. And as you can see, you don't get an awful lot of colour from these, but hopefully you'll still get an effect. And hopefully I've not missed any out this time. I love watching these just dazzle on the surface as well. They're pretty cool. And I think that's all of those covered. So that's the second one. And now I'm just going to go in with the bluish chameleon alcohol ink as well. And I want to just see if we're going to get any difference of effect from doing it this way. I'm hoping we do. Not convinced, but we will see. So at the minute, all these have had are these chameleon alcohol inks. If I cured these now, they wouldn't look amazing, I don't think, because you don't get a lot of colour with them. But you do get that sparkly effect from the chameleon powder, which is what I really like. Right, so that is those. Now it's hard for me to differentiate between the different colours that we've put down as well. So what I'm going to do is just probably put, this is the white sinker with the silicone oil in, put a few drops of this in and see what happens. And leave it to settle. And again, this is settled now for about 3 months since we did that first experiment, so I don't know what it's going to be like, if that makes a difference or not. But I'm just putting enough drops down to pretty much start that spreading process. And see what effects we get. But I do want the backs to be pretty much fully covered. And you will find that because we've put the silicone oil in, this doesn't initially seem to spread as well as the normal Sinker White, but it still does have the same effects. And what I'm hoping it will do is the same as last time, where it sort of spreads these to the sides, but hopefully just the chameleon powders. There we go. So that's already having a bit of an effect, I think. And all that is the chameleon alcohol inks and then this white Sinker with the silicone oil in. And now what I'm going to do is go over the backs of them with random alcohol inks. Hopefully I've got them opened. So midnight blue for this one. And I suppose in a way it's almost layering. And it's going to be really interesting, I think, to see the effect we get. Dark magenta. And I think because of the oil, it's almost creating a bit of a barrier at the minute. I've got orange. But the interesting thing will be is when we come back for the swirl, what these backs look like then. What do you think's going to happen? Sigillati, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's just red. Really nice red though. So already you can see these inks are spreading very differently. Because of that first layer. Turquoise. Green. Although we've already got some green in these, so I'm not going to put too much green in. Well, I was going to go random, but there is a colour that I'm actually looking for, which is this yellow. Oh, there he is. So I'm going to get some yellow in some of these smaller ones. And again, the alcohol inks I'm using here are from Petri Resin, so it's their 26 set. And just look at that texture it's creating, it's completely different. So hopefully we'll get some different results. What's this? Peach red, which is actually a really bright pink. One of my favourite colours actually, which is strange because I'm not a big fan of pink, but there we go. What do you think's going to happen? Are these all going to sink and blob, or are we going to get a different effect through doing this? don't want to overdo it, but these are starting to look a little bit full. Got some purplish red. And I think, for me, they pretty much look covered now. Okay, so now to go in with the standard Sinker White on top of these, and this is where hopefully we'll really see these colours start to dance on top. Slightly overfilled these small ones, but not overly concerned. Love this bit where you just watch them dance with each other and mix the colours. But I'm just wanting to do enough to, again, cover each, and I'm just hoping that this doesn't make the whole thing too heavy so that we just get blobs everywhere. But you don't know unless you experiment. And I think when you experiment, sometimes you get some really cool results, which is what this channel is all about. Experimenting with different techniques and seeing what happens. But again, this is almost having the 2 layers of white now, because of that first layer that we put in with the silicone oil, and then the second layer on top. What do you think's gonna happen? Again, if you're doing a lot like this, it's always worth just giving your Sinker White another shake, because the pigments will be sinking. Again, look at the effects on that heart with those little cells that it's almost created with the silicone oil. So I think we're gonna hopefully get some really interesting pieces here. And what I'm probably going to do, I think, is stir half and not stir the other half. So that's pretty much it. We are going to come back in about half an hour to 40 minutes to do the swirl, and we'll see what we get. But so far, I'm liking the look of these, hoping that we're going to get a few different effects coming through. But I'm going to take you down just for a bit of a close-up of what we've got at the moment. Look at those colours. And look at those effects as well. They're looking slightly different to the standard Petri effect. So I'm hopeful here that we are going to have some good results. Really loving those colours. So again, let's see what happens. We'll come back in an hour, do the stir, and then it'll be a case of leaving them for 24 hours to see what happens. And we're back. It's been about 45 minutes, but I think we should be about ready for the stir. What you're wanting to see is a little trail left behind, which we are getting. Now what I'm going to do, because I don't know what effect is going to happen with these, is I'm going to stir half and leave the other half as they are, because they might create a really cool effect without the stir, we don't know. And I've just got this longer skewer to do my stir with rather than a cocktail stick, so hopefully I don't get in the way. So this one I'm going to start in the center, just to be a little bit different. Normally I start at the end and then bring it back like that. As you can see, it's still leaving that little trail, which is what we're wanting. And actually, I'm really happy with that. That looks cool. This one I'm gonna stir from the outside in. This one more of a swirly effect. I just really hope we get something with these, because I've had a few unfortunate experiments, I'll call them, what haven't gone to plan yet, but that's all part of the fun. These tiny ones, I'm going to try and swirl them all. So we've done those. Over to these. I think I'm going to use this one. And this darker one here. Trying to bring that lighter colour out and then back in. And again, we won't know until tomorrow if these have worked or not. So that's part of the, I suppose, the frustrations with resin, is you never know until the next day if what you've tried to achieve has actually worked when you're working with two-part. But the only way to find out is to experiment. And for me, that is all part of the fun of these experiments. It's just seeing what different effects we get and if we can get anything unique. I'm going to go with this darker one, I think, on this, and just literally try and go from side to side. And again, be careful when you're doing your swirls. You don't want to be scraping the bottom of your mould, because if you do that, you'll scratch your mould and it will be ruined forever, every piece that you do on it. So again, these ones just going to put a standard swirl in. And it's already looking like it's a slightly different texture to what I normally get on the Petri effect. So I'll be intrigued. Right, which heart am I going to go with? I think I'm going to go with this one. And try and do a swirl there. Another one over here. And another one coming up from here. And every time you're doing those swirls, just make sure you're wiping off your stick as well. And I think that's it now. Leave it until tomorrow and see if we have any cool effects. So I'll see you in about 10 seconds. So we are back. It's the next day, and I'm excited to look at these and see what different effects we've got, if any. So, do you think it's worked? That's the question. Let's start off with, let's go with these tiny little ones. Okay. So, kind of blotchy, to be honest. So, I don't know. I'm hoping we get some better effects in the bigger pieces. Let's do the rest of these small ones just quickly. I think size-wise, I've got the right sizes, but I think the white sinker has literally just sank. And then it's covered up the colours, so maybe it's not the most effective method. But you don't know unless you try. That's the way I look at it. Yeah, I think the white sinker has just sank. And not really created much of an impact on these smaller pieces at least. So, maybe we've not had the best success. Now this is one that we did. Oh, that's a bit better. So it's kept the Petri effect underneath. But yeah, that white sinker with the silicone this time, because we didn't put the inks down first, it's just sank through really and made a bit of a blob. And you can still see that Petri effect underneath it, so the Petri has worked. But I don't like these as much as last time at the minute. And you can still see the chameleon coming through in those blobs. But yeah, I'm not as impressed as last time I did this experiment, so I don't know, what do you think? Has it been a success? I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily call it that. I mean, the Petri underneath is really nice, and actually the white silicone sinker seems to have taken away from that this time, because it's white, I think. So yeah, at least we know now what happens if you layer it. I like the glittery effect that we've got from the chameleon inks though. Just don't like the white sinker effect. Now let's see on these big circles, because sometimes when it goes deeper, oh, that's not as bad actually. And you can just see that glisten from the chameleon alcohol inks. And then that white sinker coming up the sides. But I think if I'm going to do these again and use that silicone oil white sinker, then I'm definitely going to do what I did last time and put the alcohol inks down first. Otherwise you just get these white blobs. Pardon me. And in the next video, I'm going to do a standard Petri again, you know, because I've missed doing that and seeing the results. And it's all good and well doing these crazy experiments, but if I do them every time, sometimes you just don't get the results that you're looking for. And again, that I think would have been amazing had I just used the normal white sinker. And even maybe still use those chameleon alcohol inks to get that glittery effect. But yeah, at the minute I'm not a fan of this effect. But again, it just goes to show you, sometimes experiments work, sometimes they don't, but you don't know until you try. And for the sake of 2 ounces of resin, it was worth a try. But yeah, last time I used the silicone oil and the white sinker, because I put the alcohol inks down first, we got really colourful sort of blobbing effects, and they came out really nice. But on these, I'm not a big fan. And I think if anything, it's taken away from the piece, which is not what I want. I mean, look at that. Looks like somebody's gone at it with a Tipex pen. But let me know what you think. Maybe somebody out there likes this effect, I don't know. See, that one there would have been stunning as well. I mean, you can see the glisten from the chameleon powders, which is great. So I'll probably use those chameleon alcohol inks again, but just with a standard white sinker and the coloured inks. Okay, last few. Let's see if we get one, at least one that I like. And I do prefer the ones with the swirl actually, rather than just leaving it on its own. Right, these big ones. This is the one that I didn't stir. You see, that is nice. There's just a couple of those little blobs. But actually, look at that. The glistening effect from the chameleon alcohol inks and the Petri in the background. Again, I think this would work really well without that silicone oil white sinker. And again, this, wow. That is stunning as the Petri. And it's just got a couple of those blobs. But you can see the glisten from those chameleon alcohol inks in there as well. So I think that's my favourite. The two big ovals actually are the ones that have come out the best. I think they're salvageable. The rest for me, not a massive fan if I'm being honest. Even if we put them onto one of these, let's say backings, that's the wrong size. That one's the right one. I don't know. It's just not the best, I don't think. I can do better. And I think that's the thing. Whenever you're working with these new effects, it's whether you think they look good or not. And if I'm being honest, with the exception of the two big ovals, I don't think they do. But those look stunning in my mind. So there you have it. Layering the white sinker with silicone oil with the chameleon inks first before adding the colours, and the standard white for me didn't really work. So there we go. Hopefully you'll join me in the next video, because I have done another bloom and so far it's looking good. So stay tuned for that. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.